Five Nights at Freddy's, by this point, is a series of games that everyone should be familiar with. In August, the franchise turns 10 years old, marking the release of the first installment. In these 10 years, Scott Cawthon, along with several other authors, has written a large number of books. To be exact, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 53. 53 books. Of course, although most of them are stories from the games and the novels, there are some that are a bit more miscellaneous, so to speak. Coloring books, cookbooks, sticker albums, activity books. These are some of the things that have been released over the years, but let's leave those aside. Today, we're here to talk about the 26 main novels, because there are parts of the story and its canonicity that are very ambiguous. Oh, by the way, hello there, I'm Barry, welcome to this new video on the channel. The introduction was a bit long, sorry. With all that said, let's get started. Well, before I really start with the video, I should explain how it all works. There are 3 main series of novels, 4 if you count interactive ones, which are not out yet. We have the original trilogy, telling the story of Charlie and Emily, with a focus on that character, which takes place in a kind of alternate continuity that is still taking a bit as part of the canon. I'll explain this later. We have the Fazbear, a series of 12 novels, relatively short, each with 3 stories and an epilogue called Stitch Red Stingers. Although it is not known if these stories take place in the same continuity as the games, Scott Cawthon has said that they may be directly connected or resolve many questions and gaps in the past. We also have the Tales from the Pizzeria, a series of 8 novels with a model similar to the Fazbear, 3 stories and an epilogue. These stories take place in a similar time frame to Security Breach, and this is 100% canon. Finally, there is the trilogy of interactive novels, which have not yet been released, but we will go into that in due course. Now, with all this said, let's get started. I will start with the trilogy. The first book, The Silver Eyes, was released on December 17th, 2015. Written by Scott Cawthon along with Kira Britt Risley. Here's what the synopsis says. The book follows a young woman named Charlotte, who reunites with her childhood friends on the anniversary of a tragedy that ripped her down apart. It's been exactly 10 years since the murders at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, and Charlotte, who goes by the name Charlie, has spent the last 10 years trying to forget. Her father had owned Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria and had built its 4 adult-sized animatronic animals. After meeting up with her friends, curiosity leads them back to the old pizza place, and they find it in disrepair but still standing. They discover a way inside, but things are not as they used to be. The 4 mascots that delighted and entertained them as children have changed. The animatronic animals have a dark secret and a murderous agenda. The book got rave reviews, but Scott Cawthon was criticized for one small problem. At the time, many fans were angry or commented on the fact that what was shown or told in the books did not match the content of the games. Cawthon explained that although the books and games were in 2 different continuities, this was not intended to solve anything, and they were not designed to come together like 2 pieces of a puzzle. Also, in the Ultimate Guide, it is said that many concepts first introduced in novels later took hold in the games, while concepts in the games were sometimes expanded upon in novels. So, with the original trilogy, the continuity of the original trilogy, even if not the same as the games, is still within canon, and even greatly expands on concepts that were already introduced but were or are ambiguous in the games. Now, what about the other 2 books? Because there should be at least 3 to be a trilogy, right? Well, there also are the Twisted Ones and the 4th Closet, being released on June 27th, 2017 and June 26th, 2018 respectively. This do introduce a few new concepts that, as said before, were implied on the games but never were expanded, and even added a few new characters, specifically the Twisted ones, which is introduced to the eponymous branch, the Twisted animatronics, which have never been used in games. And well, that's all about this trilogy. Now let's go to the longest novel series, Fazbear Frights. The first Fazbear Frights book, Into the Pit, was released on December 26, 2019. This series was completed on April 19, 2022 with Felix the Shark. As mentioned above, each book contains 3 stories and an epilogue called The Stitch Raid Steamers. These epilogues focus on Detective Lawson, who is investigating the Stitch Raid. I'm going to go more into detail on that in just a moment, so give me a few minutes. For now, let's look at each of the books, of which there are 12. I'm going to say the name of each one, and a summary of the 3 stories. As I said before, although a little bit above is that it's not known if these books take place in the same continuity as in the games, but Scott said they may be directly related to games or even fill gaps in the story. The first story of each book always shares a title with the book, something that will continue until Tales from the Pixelplex, where the second story will now be the one to share a name with the book. The first story is Into the Pit, released on December 27, 2019. It contains the stories Into the Pit, To Be Beautiful, and Count the Ways. These first stories have familiar faces, but somewhat different from how we've seen them. In Into the Pit, the protagonist, Oswald, visits an abandoned Freddy Fazbear's pizza and jumps into its old ball pit while he's snooping around the place out of sheer boredom. He awakens in a vision of 1985, where he sees a spring bunny murdering 6 children. This is consistent with what, so far, is known of the Missing Children Incident, or NCI in the games. Oswald's father pulls him out but gets trapped by Spring Bunny. In the real world, his father is replaced by Spring Bunny, but no one except Oswald realizes it. This is because only Oswald and his cat can see it. Oswald returns to the pizzeria, rescues his dad, and kills the Spring Bunny. An interesting thing about this story is that this Spring Bunny is not William Afton, but is an entity generated by Agony. This is based on speculation, because in future books, it is said that Agony is represented by a kind of black blood like liquid. In the cover of this book, you can see Pit Spring Bunny with this black liquid coming out of its eye. The second story, To Be Beautiful, tells of Sarah finding an animatronic named Eleanor in a junkyard. Eleanor promises to grant any wish Sarah wants. Sarah says she wants to be beautiful. She had never been considered popular or exuberantly beautiful. Instead, she envied those beautiful girls at her school. Eleanor gives Sarah a heart-shaped pendant, and she gets ready every day. One day, she stumbles at school and drops the pendant. Her body becomes scrap metal. Eleanor reveals that she had been replacing Sarah's limbs with scrap metal while she slept. Eleanor retrieves the pendant and escapes in the guise of Sarah, leaving the real Sarah to become junk. One interesting thing about this story is that Eleanor has a similar appearance to Circus Baby, which I personally relate more to the Circus Baby from the 4th closet, but not the one in the games. The third and penultimate story, Count the Ways, tells that Millie's grandfather is collecting all mechanical junk in his garage. Millie wants to avoid her family's annoying Christmas party and hides inside the stomach of a deactivated Fountain Freddy that her grandfather was fixing in the garage, which he used at his workshop. Fountain Freddy's door closes and she cannot escape. Fountain Freddy wakes up and taunts Millie for hiding, and gives her many choices of how he should kill her, by boiling her, electrocuting her, etc. Millie chooses decapitation because she thinks she can avoid the blade. Her fate is unknown, although she is most likely already deceased. The appearance of the animatronic in this book is different from that of the games, with a grayish dead tone similar to the cover of the 4th closet. Upon further investigating, from the epilogue of a later book, it is confirmed that Fountain Freddy killed Millie. And speaking of epilogues, it's time to talk about the first epilogue. In this one, Detective Lawson was assigned to investigate a stage rape case, but over legend but serial murder. This is delved into in future epilogues. The case file contains several reports of deaths and photographs of a mysterious cloaked figure, digging through trash and junk, looking for something unknown. Oh wow! By this point, I'm already 5 pages into the script, so as I narrate this, I will assume that this video is quite long. So now I'm going to close it here. Thank you so much for watching. This has taken me quite a bit of time and effort, so I appreciate you sticking around to the end. I'll try to get the second part of this video as soon as possible. With all that said, I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.